Ethan Raines stared out of the viewport of his ship, the Starfarer, at the endless darkness of space sprinkled with distant stars. He had been traveling farther than any human had ever gone, seeking worlds capable of supporting life. Humanity had stretched its reach across the solar system, but the galaxy beyond remained a mystery, full of secrets that promised both danger and discovery. As the chief explorer aboard the Starfarer, Ethan felt the thrill of being among the first to witness those secrets, yet the solitude weighed on him. Months in deep space without human contact left a persistent emptiness, like an unhealed wound. The ship's sensors beeped suddenly, breaking the quiet hum of the engines. Ethan leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the display. There was a signal, faint but distinct, emanating from a nearby planet. It wasn't a natural energy pattern. Something or someone was sending it. Curiosity surged through him, mixed with the instinctive caution of an explorer who knew that the unknown could be deadly. Without hesitation, he altered course, descending toward the planet. From orbit, the world below was breathtaking. Swirling blue oceans contrasted against emerald-green landmasses. Clouds shimmered in iridescent shades that no earthly sky had ever seen. There were patterns in the forests and rivers, almost too organized to be random. Ethan felt a shiver of excitement run through him. This was no ordinary planet. He guided the ship through the thick atmosphere, touching down on a landing platform that seemed natural, yet subtly shaped by some intelligence. The engines quieted, and the Starfarer settled on the ground with a soft hiss. Ethan grabbed his exploration pack and stepped outside, his boots sinking slightly into soft, moss-like ground that glowed faintly beneath his feet. The air was breathable but carried an unusual sweetness, like a mix of flowers and rain-soaked soil. He took a deep breath, savoring the richness of it. The forest surrounding the landing site was alive. Trees with translucent leaves glowed faintly, shifting colors in response to the wind, or perhaps to something else. Small creatures flitted between branches, their bodies radiating gentle light. Ethan's eyes widened as he realized he was witnessing a world that seemed to respond to life itself, a place where every plant, every animal was attuned to its surroundings in ways humans had only dreamed of. As he ventured deeper into the forest, a figure appeared. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, but then he saw her clearly. She was humanoid, slender and taller than most humans. Her skin shimmered in patterns of color, like the surface of a living opal. Her eyes were enormous, reflecting the stars even in daylight, and her hair flowed like liquid silver. She did not speak, yet there was a presence about her that commanded attention, a calm authority that made Ethan feel both welcomed and watched. The alien girl approached slowly, extending her hand. In it, she held a flower, delicate and glowing with a soft golden light. Ethan hesitated. He had seen exotic flora before, but none that seemed to emit energy in such a palpable way. He knelt slightly, unsure whether to accept it, and she simply waited, her gaze steady, unblinking. Something inside him nudged him forward. Perhaps it was curiosity, perhaps instinct, but he took the flower. The moment his fingers touched the petals, he felt a faint spark, a warmth that spread through his body. He gasped softly, looking into her eyes. She smiled, a slow, knowing smile, then motioned for him to follow her. He stepped after her, and the forest seemed to shift around them. The trees bent slightly as they passed, as if acknowledging their presence. Strange creatures peered from behind the glowing foliage, observing without fear. Rivers of light flowed across the ground like liquid, winding around roots and stones. Ethan could not understand how any of this worked, but he knew he was witnessing something far beyond human comprehension. "Ethan," she said, her voice soft but clear in his mind. It was not sound he heard with his ears, but thought he felt. "You come willingly, you are brave." He stumbled, startled by the sudden communication. I can hear you." "Yes," she replied, her expression serene. "All who accept the bond hear me." The bond? Ethan asked, frowning. He looked at the flower in his hand, feeling its pulse of warmth. What bond? She did not answer immediately. Instead, she turned and led him deeper into the forest. As they walked, Ethan noticed subtle changes in himself. The sounds of the forest, chirps, hums, and rustling, suddenly made sense. He could almost feel the intentions behind them. Even the glow of the plants seemed purposeful, guiding their steps along invisible paths. Hours passed, though time felt different on this planet. They arrived at a clearing surrounding a lake that reflected both of the planet's moons. The water was crystal clear, so still it mirrored the sky perfectly. Lyria, the alien girl, sat by the shore, placing the flower Ethan still held carefully in the sand. She touched it with her fingers, and a pulse of golden light radiated outward, rippling across the surface of the lake. Ethan felt a shiver run through him. The pulse was not just light, it was energy, connecting him, her, and the planet in a subtle, almost imperceptible way. What is this?" he asked. "It is life," she said simply, her voice again in his mind. "It is connection. You hold the first gift." "I don't understand," Ethan admitted. He felt drawn to her, to the flower, to the pulse of energy that seemed to fill the clearing. He had explored many planets, encountered many strange things, but nothing had ever made him feel like this. "Do you feel it?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. "The bond, you carry it now. It is a beginning, not the end." Ethan swallowed hard, unsure whether he wanted to admit it. The warmth inside him had not faded. He felt different, more aware, more alive. He looked into her eyes, and for a moment he could almost see the entire forest reflected within them. It was dizzying, beautiful, and terrifying all at once. "Are you dangerous?" he asked cautiously. "No," she said softly, standing and extending her hand. "I am guide. You will learn." Ethan hesitated, but then took her hand. The moment their fingers touched, the connection intensified. A vision flashed in his mind, visions of the planet in ages past, cities made of crystal, beings who could shape the forest with thought alone. A civilization more advanced than humanity, yet harmonious with nature, unlike anything humans had achieved. He stumbled backward, his breath catching. "You see," she said, a hint of amusement in her tone, "this world remembers. It remembers all who come here. And now you are remembered too." For a moment, Ethan felt overwhelmed. The sheer magnitude of what he had just experienced pressed down on him. He had traveled to a new world seeking knowledge, but this was something entirely different. The forest around him seemed alive in a new way, whispering to him, guiding him, almost welcoming him. I think I need a moment," he said, though even as he spoke, he felt his heart beating faster, his senses sharper. Colors seemed brighter, sounds clearer. The flower in his hand pulsed gently, in sync with the rhythm of his heartbeat. Lyria nodded, stepping closer. "You will learn. All begins with understanding. This flower, it is not just a gift. It is the beginning of the bond. One cannot remove it once given and accepted. It is life itself." Ethan looked at her, confusion and awe mingling in his expression. He did not know what the bond truly meant, only that it was powerful, perhaps too powerful. But he could not deny the curiosity, the fascination, the strange sense of belonging that had begun to take root in him. He was not alone. He was connected to her, to the planet, to something greater than himself. As the moons rose higher, casting twin silver beams across the lake, Ethan realized that the forest was changing subtly around them. Bioluminescent plants shifted, forming patterns he could now understand instinctively. Animals approached without fear, their gazes calm, almost reverent. The planet itself seemed to acknowledge the bond, welcoming him in a way that was impossible to ignore. "Tomorrow," Lyria said, "we will explore further. You will see more. You will understand more. For now, rest. The bond will teach you even in sleep." Ethan nodded, though he felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Sleep did not come easily that night. He lay on the soft moss near the lake, staring at the star-filled sky above. feeling the subtle pulse of the flower against his palm. Images and sensations danced behind his eyes, glimpses of life and history on this planet, feelings not entirely his own, memories that seemed to belong to the forest itself. By the time dawn approached, Ethan understood one truth. He had crossed a threshold. This planet, this alien girl, and the mysterious flower had changed him irrevocably. He did not yet understand how, or what the full consequences would be, but one thing was clear. Humanity's reach into the stars had brought him here for a reason. The bond had begun, and there was no turning back. As the first light of the twin suns bathed the forest in gold and emerald, Ethan rose, holding the flower carefully. Lyria was waiting, smiling, radiant in the new light. Together, they would step into the mysteries of the planet, forging a connection that would challenge everything he knew about life, intelligence, and humanity's place in the galaxy. And as they walked into the forest, Ethan could not shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something far greater than he could have ever imagined. A story of discovery, connection, and a bond that would last forever. The day after accepting the flower, Ethan woke to a soft, golden light that filtered through the translucent leaves above him. He felt different, lighter, yet more aware. Every sound, every movement around the lake seemed amplified, more vivid. Even the wind seemed to carry thought, whispering secrets he couldn't fully comprehend. For a moment he thought he was dreaming, but the subtle pulse in his palm reminded him that the flower was still there, humming softly, alive. Lyria was already waiting by the shore, her shimmering skin reflecting the twin suns as they rose. She looked at him with those endless eyes, and Ethan felt a strange calm settle over him, as if she could see through every doubt and fear he had ever carried. "Good morning," she said, her voice resonating in his mind. "You slept well." I think so," Ethan admitted, though he noticed his words felt heavier than usual, more meaningful. "I keep seeing things, images, memories, feelings I don't understand. Are they real?" Lyria smiled, tilting her head. "They are parts of the bond. The flower carries the memory of the world of life that has walked here before. You see some because your mind is open now. You will see more, but do not be afraid. You are learning." Ethan nodded, still trying to make sense of it. He had always prided himself on being logical, analytical, able to handle unexpected situations. But this was beyond anything he had imagined. Images of ancient cities shimmering with crystal towers, of beings moving without touching the ground, flashed behind his eyes. He could feel emotions that weren't entirely his own, pride, love, even sorrow, radiating from the world around him. "Come," Lyria said, motioning for him to follow. "Today you will see the heart of the forest." Ethan followed, walking through pathways that seemed to form only when they stepped on them. The plants parted smoothly, as though guiding them. Small creatures appeared, curious but gentle, their eyes reflecting intelligence and awareness. Ethan felt an unfamiliar thrill. Humanity had charted many worlds, but never one that responded so actively to life itself. As they walked, he asked, "Are all beings here like you?" "Some are like me," Lyria replied. "Some are older, wiser. Others are younger, learning the ways of the bond. All serve the balance of life." Ethan listened, fascinated. The forest pulsed with energy. Every plant, every creature seemed to communicate in a silent, profound way. He realized the bond was not only between him and Lyria, it was a connection to the entire ecosystem. He felt a faint tug in his mind, like a thread stretching from the flower to the glowing roots beneath the surface. He touched the flower instinctively, and the thread pulsed, sending warmth up his arm. "What is this?" he whispered. "It is the world recognizing you," Lyria said. "You are part of it now as it is part of you. The bond is not a chain, it is a bridge." Ethan tried to absorb her words. Part of him feared losing his independence, being trapped in a relationship he didn't fully understand. But another part, a deeper, instinctive part, felt drawn to her, to the planet, to something greater than himself. He could feel knowledge and understanding growing inside him, like seeds sprouting under sunlight. They reached a clearing where massive crystal formations rose from the ground, glowing with an internal light that shifted in rhythm with the hum of the forest. Lyria touched one of the crystals, and images appeared in Ethan's mind, visions of this world across centuries, civilizations rising and falling, always connected to the energy of the land. He gasped, overwhelmed. "These crystals, they remember everything?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "The bond allows you to feel it. You do not only see the world, you experience its memory, its purpose. You are learning to listen." Ethan tried to focus, but the sheer flood of sensation was almost too much. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply, letting the energy flow through him. Slowly, the visions became clearer. He saw beings like Lyria, learning, teaching, living in harmony with the planet. He saw humans arriving, centuries ago, only to leave confused and afraid. And then he saw something new, images of him, walking alongside Lyria, understanding, growing, shaping the planet's future together. "Why me?" he asked, opening his eyes to meet hers. "You came willingly," Lyria said. "You accepted the flower without fear. That is rare. Most humans are too cautious, too bound by their own rules. You are ready to learn." As the day passed, Ethan began to notice subtle changes in himself. His senses sharpened. He could hear distant movements in the forest, see subtle shifts in color and light, even sense the emotions of nearby creatures. He could communicate with Lyria without speaking, exchanging thoughts and feelings directly. It was exhilarating, yet unsettling. Humanity had not evolved to connect with other beings this way. It was beyond instinct, beyond reason. By mid-afternoon, they reached the edge of a waterfall cascading into a luminous pool. The water glowed faintly, and as Ethan approached, he felt a pulse of energy emanating from it. Lyria placed a hand on the water, and the glow intensified, flowing in gentle waves across the pool. Ethan touched it as well, and a vision surged through him. Humans walking on other planets, learning to coexist with alien life, understanding the galaxy not through conquest but through connection. "This is incredible," he breathed. "It's like seeing what could be, what humans could become." Lyria nodded. "The bond gives understanding. It is not control. You learn empathy, patience, insight. All who are bonded can change the world around them." Ethan felt a mixture of awe and fear. The responsibility was immense. Humanity had sent explorers across space, but he realized they had no idea what awaited them. If more humans arrived here without understanding the bond, the consequences could be disastrous for them and for the planet. As they returned to the lake that night, Ethan noticed changes he could feel deep within himself. Thoughts that weren't his mingled with his own, memories that weren't his shaped his dreams, and emotions he had never known grew strong and vivid. He could feel a subtle pull toward Lyria, toward the flower, toward the world itself. The bond was more than connection, it was a transformation. He asked quietly, "Can humans survive this? Can we handle it?" "Some can," Lyria replied, her gaze steady. "Many are not ready." "You are rare, Ethan. The flower chose you, but also you chose it. That is the balance. Respect it or you will suffer, but embrace it and the universe opens before you." Days turned into nights and nights into days, but on this planet, time felt different. Ethan no longer measured it in hours, but in experiences, in sensations, in lessons from the bond. Lyria guided him, showing him how to touch the crystals without fear, how to read the language of the forest, how to move without disrupting the delicate balance of life. One evening, while resting by the glowing lake, Ethan noticed a strange sensation, a tug, a distant vibration he could not immediately identify. The bond was calling him, urging him to pay attention. He followed the feeling into the forest, deeper than he had gone before, until he reached a grove filled with creatures he had never seen. They shimmered like liquid light, moving in synchrony with one another, their bodies radiating a quiet intelligence. They are the guardians, Lyria said, appearing beside him. They protect the balance. They know you now. Ethan reached out tentatively. One of the creatures approached, brushing against his hand. A surge of warmth and understanding flowed through him. He saw flashes of the planet's history, moments of conflict, moments of unity, moments of life flourishing because the bond had guided it. It was overwhelming yet beautiful. You are learning quickly, Lyria said. The bond grows stronger with understanding. Fear weakens it. Trust strengthens it. Ethan realized that fear was no longer his primary emotion. Curiosity and wonder had taken its place. Every pulse from the flower, every thought exchanged with Lyria, every vision from the crystals and guardians taught him something new. Humanity's potential, he understood now, was not only in technology or strength, it was in connection, in empathy, in understanding life beyond their own planet. As night fell, Ethan lay by the glowing lake once more, watching twin moons cast silver light across the surface. The bond throbbed gently in his chest, a constant reminder of the connection he had chosen. Lyria sat beside him, her presence comforting and steady. He realized that he was no longer just an explorer. He was a part of something larger, something eternal, something that could shape not just this planet, but perhaps the future of human exploration and understanding. And in that moment, he understood a simple truth. The alien girl had offered a flower, yes, but she had also offered humanity a glimpse into a future it had never imagined. A future where connection, understanding, and courage could redefine what it meant to be human. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt truly alive. The bond had begun, and with it, a journey that would challenge him, change him, and ultimately reveal the extraordinary potential that lay within him, and by extension within all of humanity. Ethan woke to the soft glow of the twin suns once again, but this morning felt different. The bond pulsed stronger than ever, a living thread connecting him not just to Lyria, but to the planet itself. Every sound, every color, every vibration seemed heightened. He could feel the heartbeat of the forest, the rhythm of the crystals, even the gentle currents of the lake as if they were extensions of his own body. The sensation was exhilarating, but it carried weight. The bond was no longer simply a connection. It was responsibility, knowledge, and power all at once. Lyria was already waiting. She moved toward him with her usual grace, her eyes reflecting understanding and warmth. "Today," she said, her voice resonating in his mind, "you will see the true purpose of the bond. You must decide what it means for you and for your people." Ethan rose, the weight of those words sinking in. Humanity had reached countless worlds, but this one was unlike any other. Here, strength was measured not in weapons or technology, but in understanding, empathy, and courage. He realized that leaving this planet was no longer a simple choice. The bond had already altered him. He could feel its influence coursing through every nerve, every thought, every emotion. They walked together through the forest, deeper than Ethan had ever ventured. The trees bent slightly as they passed, and creatures of light and shadow observed them with curiosity, yet without fear. The forest itself seemed to guide their steps, revealing paths only those connected by the bond could see. Ethan marveled at the harmony around him, sensing for the first time what true balance meant. "Ethan," Lyria said, stopping by a crystal formation taller than a building, glowing with soft pulses of light, "the bond grants understanding, yes, but it also grants choice. What you choose will affect not only you but all life here, even your people if they arrive." Ethan approached the crystal cautiously, touching its smooth, warm surface. Images flooded his mind. Humans exploring the galaxy, encountering alien worlds, often unaware of the consequences of their actions. He felt the fragility of life across the cosmos and understood the potential humans carried to either nurture or destroy. The realization was heavy, yet it filled him with determination. Humanity could rise not just through conquest but through connection. Suddenly, the sky above shimmered with movement. Ethan's sensors, still active in his mind, detected an approaching human fleet. He recognized the ships immediately, human explorers, sent to retrieve him after weeks of silence. Relief and fear rippled through him. Relief that his comrades had arrived, fear because he knew they would not understand what had happened here. They would see a planet and its life forms as resources, not partners. "Ethan," Lyria said softly, reading his mind, "they are unaware. You must guide them or they may harm what you now protect." Ethan's pulse quickened. The bond gave him insight, clarity, and power, but it also demanded courage. He knew he could not fight the fleet with weapons alone. He had to show them something greater, something that could awaken understanding. He glanced at the flower in his hand, its golden glow steady and warm. It had started it all, and now it would guide him through the next step. As the human ships entered orbit, Ethan raised his hand and the bond pulsed outward. From the planet below, life responded. Trees bent gracefully, rivers of light shifted, and the creatures of the forest gathered. Ethan felt their awareness, their support, and a surge of unity flowed through him. The fleet's sensors detected unusual energy, instruments reading anomalies far beyond human comprehension. Pilots exchanged worried glances. Ethan focused, sending a wave of understanding through the bond. Images, feelings, and thoughts projected into the minds of the humans aboard the ships. They saw not just a planet, but a living, breathing ecosystem, intelligent and ancient. They felt the emotions of the beings below, the guardians, the plants, the crystal formations. They felt the connection that Ethan now shared with Lyria and the land itself. A voice echoed in Ethan's mind, but it was not Lyria's. It was the collective awareness of the planet itself, whispering in harmony, "Respect, understand, choose life." The fleet faltered, their weapons inactive, systems overwhelmed by the flood of sensation. Ethan realized then that the bond was not just a gift. It was a bridge between species, between understanding and ignorance. Humanity had reached for the stars, but the true challenge was to grasp empathy, to see life beyond their own perspective. Lyria moved closer, her hand brushing his, and Ethan felt a deep calm. "The bond," she said, "cannot be broken, but it can guide. You can show them the way if you have the courage." Ethan took a deep breath, focusing on the energy flowing through him. He extended his other hand toward the sky, toward the fleet. A pulse of golden light radiated outward, enveloping the ships. Images of the forest, the creatures, the crystals, and Lyria filled the minds of the humans. They saw the planet's history, its wisdom, and the responsibility they carried as part of the galaxy. Some felt awe, others confusion, but none could deny the truth of what they experienced. A young pilot murmured, This is alive, all of it, it's beautiful." Another added, "We've never seen anything like this, it's thinking, feeling." Ethan smiled slightly, realizing that the bond was achieving what weapons never could. Humanity could be shown a new way, a path forward without force. He felt Lyria's presence beside him, steady and strong, and he knew that together, they could protect this world and guide humanity toward understanding. The ships hesitated in orbit, scanning the planet with renewed caution. Ethan knew that when they returned home, the stories of this place would sound impossible, but the experience would remain, a seed planted in human consciousness. Perhaps humanity would rise to meet it. Perhaps not. But here on this planet, Ethan and Lyria were united, bound forever, and they would ensure life and understanding flourished. As night fell, the forest glowed with countless lights, shimmering like a million stars fallen to earth. Ethan walked beside Lyria, feeling the pulse of the bond as a living rhythm in his chest. "Do you think they'll understand?" he asked softly. "Some will," Lyria replied. "The rest they will learn in time. The bond endures, it teaches, it guides. That is its power." Ethan glanced at the flower, now glowing softly in the dim light. It had been the first step, the small gift that had changed everything. A simple gesture, yet it carried consequences beyond comprehension. He understood now that life was not simply survival, not simply expansion. It was connection, empathy, and courage. The flower had shown him the way. Suddenly, a ripple of energy passed through the forest. Ethan's heart raced. He could feel the presence of unseen guardians, creatures of light that moved in harmony with the land. They circled the clearing, observing him, sensing his intentions. He felt no fear, only connection. The bond had grown stronger, integrating him into the life of the planet itself. Lyria placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are ready," she said. "Together, we will ensure this world thrives. Together, we will guide humanity if they are ready to learn. If not, they will have to choose another path." Ethan nodded, feeling a profound sense of purpose. For the first time in his life, he understood what it meant to truly belong, to something greater than himself, to a world that breathed, thought, and lived alongside him. The bond was eternal, not a chain, but a connection that would endure across time and space. As the human fleet lingered above, Ethan raised his eyes to the stars. He thought of the countless worlds humanity had yet to reach, and he felt hope. Perhaps the galaxy held wonders like this one, waiting for those brave enough to understand, to connect, to learn. Humanity had always reached outward, driven by curiosity and ambition. But now, Ethan realized the next step was to reach inward, to understand not only the universe but themselves. The forest responded to his thoughts, the crystals pulsed with life, and the creatures of light swirled in patterns that reflected the bond's harmony. Ethan felt Lyria's hand in his, steady, warm, and unyielding. Together, they were part of something extraordinary, a unity of mind, heart, and life that transcended species, race, and time. Ethan finally understood the true gift of the flower. It had offered more than companionship. It had offered a bridge between worlds, a chance for humanity to learn, to grow, and to rise beyond its limitations. And though the bond tied him forever to Lyria and the planet, he felt no fear, only purpose, only connection, only life in its most profound and beautiful form. As the twin moons rose over the forest, casting their silver and violet light across the glowing lake, Ethan looked at Lyria and smiled. He knew the journey was only beginning. There would be challenges, discoveries, and trials ahead, but the bond would endure. The flower had chosen him, and in return, he had chosen to embrace a destiny far greater than he had ever imagined. In that quiet, radiant moment, Ethan felt the pulse of the planet beneath him, the heartbeat of the forest around him, and the steady warmth of Lyria beside him. Bound forever, yes, but free in a way humanity had never known. Together they would shape a future not of conquest, but of understanding, empathy, and wonder. And somewhere in the orbit above, the human fleet paused, witnessing a planet alive with energy, wisdom, and life. They could not yet grasp its full meaning, but one human had, and that one human was about to guide the rest. Humanity had reached the stars, but now, for the first time, it had the chance to understand them. The forest shimmered, the crystals pulsed, and the flower glowed softly in Ethan's hand. The bond was eternal. The journey was just beginning, and humanity's greatest adventure had only just begun.